Good. So we will give a disclaimer about what this talk is about, so you don't have any false expectations and don't get bored out in the next hour. So after that disclaimer and introduction of ourselves, to the actual tale that we have to say, and the conclusion ultimately of what we do out of our serverless journey. Getting to the disclaimer, we are going to deliver a big portion of change and culture with a decent hint of technology and swearing about people we had to work with. So it's not about technology and how we build it, actually, not much. So if you are more into the techie version and seeing what we build at Volkswagen Financial Services, it's not that interesting for you. But if we are for culture and how we dealt with change and what we did in the last 2 years, fighting with the CISOs and the CIO of the company, then this is the right talk for you. So if you don't want to stay, that's fine for us. It's just want to give a clear picture so that you know what to expect from us. And so to quickly introduce you, who of you, except for the 4 that I see here, knows Volkswagen Financial Services? Yeah, okay, well, that's pretty good. It was like 4 weeks ago when I had that part of that talk at the Amazon Web Services Summit, where not that many people knew Volkswagen Financial Services. Most people actually stopped reading after they see Volkswagen. And then what I get often at I don't know, job fairs, for example, is, Volkswagen Financial Services looks like the controlling department of Volkswagen. What is it actually? But no, we are a big financial provider. We were founded in 1949 as the Volkswagen Bank, and in 1994 we set up the Volkswagen Financial Services AG as the holding for all our financial services things that we do in the Volkswagen Group. So the Volkswagen Group, for those who don't know it, consists of Volkswagen, Audi, Seat, Skoda, Lamborghini, Bugatti, and all the nice brands that you can get out there. And we are indeed the largest provider of automobile financial services in Europe. We've got more than 17 million contracts worldwide, which results in an operating result of 2.1 billion euros annually. And we've got more than 15,000 employees in 51 different countries. So it's not the small controlling department that you would expect here. We are headquartered in Germany, right 2 hours or 2.5 hours down the A2 towards Braunschweig. Nice city in Lower Saxony. And the last point is something that I want to really, really stress. We know that as Volkswagen, we had over the last 2 years a lot of trouble that we caused. And what I want to assure you is that the rest, or most of the company actually, is not supporting that, what happened. And we say that security and foremost trust are extremely important to us. So what we always build into our products is a lot of security, a lot of trust towards the customers, that we build them for the customers. And last but not least, love, but also this. And we want to stress that as Volkswagen Financial Services, we always keep the customer in our heads, and we want to build great products for the customers. And now I'd like to introduce us, and I'd like to start with Sebastian, that guy here. He's 33 years old, has spent the last 11 years with the company, so I think you grew very old in those 11 years. Yeah. Sebastian was responsible for development, architecture, first as a consultant, but then in the teams within Volkswagen Financial Services. He's very geeky, hands-on person though, and he was one of the drivers for introducing cloud technologies at the company. And so he's always going for the latest technology, going for, what was it? Not Go, but the other JavaScript thing that you implemented.
ECMAScript 6.
Ah.
TypeScript?
Yes. Probably.
Yeah.
And he's a happy father, so to a son, 1 year old. Nice guy also, like Sebastian.
But smaller.
Right.
Yes, hello from me too. I would like to introduce Stefan. He's 32 years old, a little bit younger than me, but bigger. He's 13 years with the company, studied in Braunschweig, and we're together with Volkswagen Financial Services. He's a dev and architect, and he's specialized in leadership, and he's the leader of the digital unit here in Berlin from Volkswagen Financial Services. He's less geeky, we will see, but still hands-on and knows what he's talking about and knows what I'm talking about. That's good. So he's supporting me with the latest technology and stuff. He's married, but no kids.
Not yet.
But yeah. The tail.
Yeah, that's how it starts.
That's how it starts. Yeah, well, a tale is a story. usually untrue, but in this case we were telling a true story. We're telling a story about us and about the company and about how the company proceeded in the last few years and what we did with cloud technology, mostly with Amazon Web Services, AWS. And yeah, we are telling a true report with some things we found left and right on the way, like clouds and fairy dust, and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's good. Well, there is a definition of happiness, and that's a state of well-being and contentment, joy. Okay, so what's happiness for me is not caring about how my code goes on production. It's I just want to take care about the code. I want to implement features for the customer. I want to implement features for our businesses, and I don't want to take too much time to get it in production or get it on a system where everyone can use it and try it out and test it. And if something breaks in this process, I get a notification from Slack or via push notification from my continuous integration server, and then I fix it. That's happiness for a developer. Well, the path to happiness has a beginning, but has it an end? So as you can see, the road is very, very long in this picture, and so is it so is the reality. We have traveled far, but we are not at the end of our journey and not at the end of our tale, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Durch? No? No? Well, happy developers. How we made a definition about what's happiness for our developers or what's happiness for us. And well, what I just said is that I want to have a pipeline that's taking my code, building an artifact, and putting it on a system where I can use it. And some people in this world do continuous integration until the productive system. That's what happiness is for me. So I don't want to take care about getting things in production. We will see how far we proceeded with this topic. Yeah. Then there is a infrastructure beneath those pipelines that has to be reliant. So from the past of our company, there was a department taking care about systems and running servers and so on, and those servers were not reliant. They were not scalable. They were not functional sometimes, and so everything under the hood must work, must fulfill our needs, what we need from our infrastructure. Well, that's the next topic. Everything should repair itself, so it should be resilient. If something breaks, if a server goes down, you should restart and install itself and get the latest version of the software on it, and that's it.
Yeah, and as a developer, I only want to create value, be it for the customers mostly. I don't want to have to deal with a lot of bureaucracy around me and setting up servers, and when something goes down, I want to get notified, but actually I want someone else to take care of it, and I just want to create value, add value, deliver functionality together with my product owners. And for this, I need to continuously improve the product and the technology through the technology that we use most of the time, at least. I mean, there is certainly some other tasks that we have to do, but this is what we strive for. And as Sebastian already covered, everything needs to be automated and secure. That's what I said initially. We are aiming for having a lot of trust with the customers, and security is one part of it. So when we started with doing things differently at Volkswagen Financial Services, like Sebastian was talking about the operations department that we have, we needed to find some new ways. And Thomas, who's head of our applications department, he said 3 years ago, to discover new ways, we need to leave old ways behind. So that is easy. It's not very philosophical, but it's something that has to be supported by someone, obviously, from top management, upper management in such a company as big as we are. And this was a good starting point for us to kick off our journey. So if we go for the journey that we took, and it sounds a little like a love story between Sebastian and me, but it is. Huh?
Yeah, it is.
A love story, and along the way we discovered the greatness of the cloud. So pre-2014 we got to know each other. Sebastian and I worked in separate departments. We did some web development, mainly for the dealership that we have at the company. It was really web development. I was working for fleet customers, and Sebastian always did the calculation stuff. So if you go to a web calculator, or Volkswagen, Audi, Seat, Skoda, and you calculate your car, in the end they'll give you, it costs you $399 a month. And this is what Sebastian built. Looks like just one number, but it's a huge effort that we put into that throughout the countries. And I was using that for building it into my applications, but we were in separate departments. We didn't really know each other. But then in 2013 it was started, in 2014 it actually became effective. We developed mobile apps together. So we built mobile apps for calculating vehicles, and I was building the app and using his code and all the backend services that were there. Then we got moved to the same department, which brought us even closer. And I got a new task, and that was about digitizing the banking part of Volkswagen Financial Services. And Sebastian liked it so much that he followed. And we looked at what we wanted to do differently from what we did in the past. And one part of that was introducing cloud technology. And this is what we'll cover in just a few seconds. And also in that time, there were new tasks, again, for both of us, and now we are here in Berlin standing together. So you see there is something going on. And from this year on, and also in the next years, we're going to change some stuff drastically at Volkswagen Financial Services. It took us 30 months to get to where we are currently, but it will bring us exponential growth, I think, for creating digital products, truly digital products on an international scale for our customers. And that is here in Berlin. And we're just 10 minutes walk down the road, Friedrichstraße. There you'll find our office in Johannesstraße, the former Rocket Internet office. And yeah, here we are. So let's focus on the part where we got to know the cloud, right?
Yeah, we did. Well, it was 2015.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was 2015, and we decided to do things differently. We were coming from a traditional software development with waterfall processing of the requirements, and we had quarterly releases. So every 4 months we changed the production and everything breaks. So we wanted to speed up the development. We wanted to get features faster to the customer. We wanted to do it more lightweight. We wanted to change everything. We wanted to change everything. We wanted to change the underlying technology. We wanted to change the programming languages, the frameworks, everything. And we wanted to be state of the art. We were working in a homegrown framework, which is 15 years old now, and it was horrible. So we wanted to do Node.js and stuff like that. And we wanted to have a small team that covers all the obstacles, all the problems together. And we wanted to have the system departments in our team and so on. Yeah, we were on conferences. We have been to the AWS Summit, and we were dazzled from the technology, and everything was so new and so wow, and everything was just crazy. Changed almost everything, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, and then we had to to get our bosses to approve what we are doing. So we had to convenience the CISO. Then we had to persuade the CIO and pushing the CMO. So we are a big company and we have lots of bosses and lots of manager. So everything, everything everyone had to be
involved, sort of. Yeah. What you see there with the think big, start small is we always thought big. We wanted to do things differently. We went to the conferences and we learned about Zalando doing stuff with their technologies, with their frameworks, STUPS, and all that stuff. And we thought that is something that we want to go for. We want to have immutable servers and all of that. And then we invited some cloud experts from CloudReach over to us, and we told them, hey, let's do that with immutable servers. We want to have a stack that we can deploy. And they just laughed at us and said, come on, guys, do your first steps, try it out, see how the cloud works for you, and then we can talk about the bigger things later. That's basically how it went. And we were pissed, really pissed, that they were laughing at us because we thought we knew better. So, you know that learning curve where you think you know the technology right away when you just heard of it at a talk, and then it drops drastically, and it dropped when we got to know the technology. And but we started, and then we did things differently.
Reaching immutable server is not easy to reach, so we didn't know that, but we know now, and we are we have lots more knowledge about the cloud. And one big thing is that you have to build your applications differently if you're going to cloud. If you're going to a traditional infrastructure, you're going to build your applications differently. But what we did, we started development with a small team, and we tried to do Scrum. And everyone said we are doing Scrum. I'm not quite sure about if we are doing Scrum. We did the waterfall, the Fachkonzept, the business requirements, the big crazy thing, in small steps. That's not Scrum, but it's okay. It's better than doing waterfall for 4 months, I guess. Yeah, we were done at the end of the year. We did 3 months of development for our MVP, which is pretty long from my perspective. But everyone had a learning curve, so everyone was new in Scrum and everyone was new in the technology. So I guess it's okay. Yeah, and then we added more products. And we just wanted to get things ready instead of doing things perfectly, which was somehow we were talking about later. Yeah, what we did, we together with our cloud architects, we implemented an event-driven architecture. Well, I'm coming from a company where we have monolithic applications. We have very big code bases, like I don't know. We have 3-tier applications over different DMZs in the data center. We have Oracle databases, everything big and monolithic. What we are doing now is we did a event-driven architecture together with AWS Lambda, API Gateway, Amazon S3, DynamoDB, and IoT. And no one else did it before us in our company. So there were people who did event-driven architectures before, but not in our company. So everyone was, scared about it. So this was our MVP. This is the initial start at the end of 2015. 15? God. Yeah. So some Lambda functions, one DynamoDB in the middle, and a few buckets. And the blue part on the left side is the API gateway. So why did we do an event-driven architecture? We wanted to grow. The business had some requirements we didn't do at the beginning. We know we have those requirements, but we didn't implement this. So we wanted to have space to grow. And this is what we did.
We grew.
This is what our infrastructure looks now. There are a few more buckets, but a whole lot of more Lambda functions. So at this time we are something between 20 and 30 or 25 to 35 Lambda functions, depending on the case and depending on, on the actual development. And so this was a good decision to have an event-driven architecture because it's flexible. It's very flexible. Yeah, so what we also did, we implemented an identification.
Go for it.
Let me start.
Legitimation? I don't know.
Legitimation?
Yeah.
No.
No? Identity provider sort of, we implemented it and connected it.
We connected the post identity provider from the German Post. So they were not market leader at this time. So we had to solve some problems we didn't have with different or other providers. So what we did is we somehow compensated their flaws and their problems with Lambda functions. So we to have a working pre-prod or sandbox environment, we had to implement some of the Lambda functions for the German Post. Mm-hmm. This is what we did. Yeah. So we used Lambda and the flexible infrastructure we're having to compensate our service providers, which is somehow strange, but it works. The next step is that we separated the configuration from our functions, because we wanted to grow bigger and we wanted to have feature toggles. And if you have a lot of Lambda functions and a lot of microservices, so every Lambda function is a microservice in our infrastructure. And to have feature toggles about or between separate Lambda functions, you need to store configuration on a specific place where all the functions can read it. And this is what we did afterwards. So the infrastructure gave us space to change and to
Mm-hmm. Sorry that we had to black out the names of the buckets, but you probably know why. But you hack into it, and but yeah, it's never mind. So, do you want to cover what happened in 2016?
Okay. So what we did, like I just said, we implemented the first version of Postident, and it wasn't optimal. It wasn't good. So we had to do it a second time because the German Post changed their infrastructure and changed their interfaces. So what we just did, we removed the 3 or 4 Lambda functions that are taking care about the Postident stuff, throwing it away and putting in different other Lambda functions. And we have completely changed our DynamoDB structure underneath, because there were requirements that were obsolete during the development, and then we had to change the Dynamo structure. Yeah, what we also did is we are a bank and we are a financial institution, and we have a lot of compliance and regulatory stuff to do and a lot of papers to fill out. And we, like Stefan said, we are lazy developers, so we don't want to fill out documents. So what we did is we implemented a continuous test and continuous integration and continuous everything, more or less, into our pipelines. So every compliance report or every test report comes out automatically. So no tester has to fill out something, or no developer has to test manually. Everything comes out automatically. Yeah. First step's compliance as code. That's a big part, because like I just said, we are a bank and we are legacy. We have to code all the things, and yeah, we are doing compliance as code to change our infrastructure on our compliance rules we are having from the BaFin and all the other institutions.
and it's all done step by step. I mean, we learn each month, each week, basically, what's out there. Yesterday there was an interesting talk about having pen testing automated here, and this is also something that we plan to implement. So what we're currently doing is still manual pen testing at the release time, and this is something that we need to change in order to have a full compliance pipeline as well. And this is really crucial, and this is what satisfies auditors when they see that you have basically everything under control, even though it's not on your infrastructure. And just if you plan to implement that in one of your organizations, go for compliance and take that as your first topic, basically. So, like I said, we did web tests. We are doing pen tests on web environments, and usually in the past, when we did them, they were all red traffic lights. It was always a mess. We did them on our consolidation environments where we didn't have valid SSL certificates, for example. And those certificates broke all the time, broke the pen testing process. So we always got a red light before going live, and we had to justify that with every basically product that we built. And we did the pen test with the things that we built for the project that Sebastian was working with in that time, and it was a green light. Oh no, it was yellow. Sorry, it was yellow because there was one finding, but actually there was nothing really in that. And we built a good, secure, safe, resilient infrastructure that was also approved by the pen testers first time. That was really something that we were happy for. And but also, I mean, not everything went the happy path. The need for speed and features led to some technical debt ultimately. And what we also observed was some previously unknown creativity within the business. And the business made up some ideas and then changed it again, and it was really the impression that you get when you first introduce Agile, Scrum, extreme programming to your business. They say, oh cool, then I can change my mind every day, and I can only stand next to developers and say, do it like this and do it like that. And they did. Really, they did. And it was really crazy, right? So there was obviously also a misunderstanding that we had with the business, where one of the upper management guys thought it would be easily changeable what we did there, but it was all had to go through coding. So always the development team was involved, and this way a change took us like 4 weeks, which is still pretty fast. But he thought that he could build it in and then build it out again. It was a banner on the starting page, but then he built it in and built it out again, and it always took us so long. And he was asking, why does it take you so long? I thought it was in a CMS, and we said, nope, we have to build code for that. And no, there was never the requirement for having it in a CMS. And we saw some creativity with that, but I think ultimately what we could draw out of it is we need to talk about what we are doing here, and there has to be an understanding also in the business what's going on here. So those were the first signs that agility might become tougher than expected, and also growing agility. In 2016, I think the team, I wasn't really part of it because I already dealt with what we built here in Berlin, but you grew to 3 teams, and growing on an unstable foundation is not a good idea. Yes. So in the meantime, I also had to deal with a few things, and my year 2016, the first half, I dealt with multi-clouding. So I was evaluating Microsoft Azure because we wanted to build well, it was not my idea, so don't blame me for that, but some people thought it might make sense to have an abstraction layer on our backend systems, which are 400 roughly in Braunschweig, and have a so-called omni-channel layer where we can offer the services to different channels, multiple channels, with API gateways, proxies, and all that stuff. And we were, as Sebastian already said, we are building everything on a 15-year-old framework, which is on .NET technologies, called Internet-Based Architecture, which is something that we developed together with Microsoft for a banking standard. And we wanted to build everything on Azure then, because our web developers, which are 200 roughly in Braunschweig, knew Microsoft technology very well and said, Azure is a good way to go. And I went to Microsoft in Seattle and talked to them, and we said, yeah, that could be a good way. And what we did was looking into that omnichannel layer option and also setting up international projects, sorry, at scale, where we wanted to introduce our products with, well, first European markets and build pure digital online journeys for our customers. So ultimately, you will go to your Volkswagen website, you say, I want to buy that car for 200 bucks, and we ask you all the questions that we need in order to give you that financing. And that process, that part of the process, is what we currently built here, and we set that up in the first half of 2016. So in summer, things went faster, speeding up. We talked to a lot of people in the Volkswagen group, which is really 500,000 people, so there's a lot to talk about. And we talked about collaboration, mutual commitments, working together. For example, we have an identity provider which is based on OpenID, which is built here at the Stralauer Allee by the digital lab of Volkswagen. We are working closely together with different departments of Volkswagen, also in our office currently, and we started to form teams and have new recruiting. But if you want to know about that, we can talk about it later at our booth. I don't want to go too deeply into that. And in the second half, I found out that, whoa, everything is growing a little too fast currently, and we are trying to set up 4 teams and 5 teams on new technologies, and that is growing, sorry, we need to step on the brake a little. So let's please stop the pace or keep the pace lower, focus a little more, and see what's going on. So we established just 4 teams. The business wanted to go for 7 initially, and we said that we cannot go for Azure and Amazon Web Services at the same time. We see that the whole group is going into AWS, so let's please focus on AWS and go for it. And that's what we did. And also, I felt very alone in that time, so I asked Sebastian, hey, we are going to Berlin, can you please work together again, bro? Because I need you there, I need your knowledge that you gained with Amazon Web Services, and I need you on the team. And he said, no, I don't want to go to Berlin, but I can help you like 2 days a week. And yeah, now he's here helping us 2 days a week. That's okay, still. So we really find like what we planned in 2016 didn't really work out, having 4 teams at scale on new technologies. And I was talking to one of our managers last year, and I said, if that shit blows up in Berlin, I want to be as far away as possible, because I see agile rookies on new technologies at scale, and that can only blow up. But it didn't. It worked somehow, but we know that there are a lot of things that need to be improved. And we see 4 teams all on AWS, and Sebastian, which is very crucial. We are not just working here on an island in Berlin. We are also working with Braunschweig, integrating with the current infrastructure that we have there. And this is why it's very important to have someone as an ambassador. And we've got not just only Sebastian, but also Thorsten and Christopher, who are always on the A2 between Braunschweig and Berlin, and connecting, basically.
Networking.
What we also saw is we need a mind shift, which is towards supporting the teams. I mean, we wanted to have self-contained teams, autonomous sort of teams that can build on top of a predefined set of technology, and we need to support them in order to be able to do the DevOps, to build compliant software. And for example, what we did was we shifted from a project management approach that we have in the company, which is called LCM. It's just about documentation and delivering documents, to levels of done that help us leveling up our user stories throughout the process, which is a self-responsible act done by the teams. So every team takes responsibility for getting their user stories, getting their systems compliant ultimately. And that is what leads to truly taking responsibility in a DevOps mode. And we also wanted to go with the team and want to go with the team to set up a new frame for cloud architectures. And we did that together with the colleagues from the German market project. And now what we have is basically automatic provisioning of AWS accounts throughout different stages, and a great concept of switching roles between them, and having basically everything built in that we need to be compliant and still build great software.
So we had some how should I say tasks to work with legacy systems. So there are, like Stefan just said, 300 systems in the backend of our the cellar of a company in Braunschweig. They are old and they are slow, and there's a lot of problems with them. So what we did on a happy place in AWS, we automate everything. So everything that can be automated should be automated, like provisioning of AWS accounts and having different AWS accounts for different workloads and having different AWS accounts for different stages. And everything is automated. The next thing, also a legal requirement and and one requirement from our compliance guys, is that we encrypt everything. We use encryption on AWS, and we encrypt everything. Yeah, codify everything. Pretty close connected to automate everything. What we did is we have infrastructure as code. We're using Terraform, Ansible, and some other stuff to describe our infrastructure, to describe our networks, to describe our services. Everything is code. Yeah. Doing DevOps also means that you have to be responsible for the thing you do, and you also have to be responsible for the things everything else does around you. So you are a team, and the team has to run, build, and improve the software and the product in the end. Yeah. Also close connected, login monitoring. Login monitoring everything. We get email notified if something breaks. We get we have a Kibana, and we have log stash and so on. So we can see what's going on. Some people experimented with Amazon X-Ray together with AWS Lambda, which is pretty nifty. That's really cool. So you can trace your requests through the whole infrastructure. And you have to communicate a lot. Not only with your team, but also with the stakeholder and business and bosses and everyone. Everything has to communicate. Everything has to communicate. Oh. Internet of Things is also communicating.
Also the IoT, right? So communication is really something crucial when you introduce a new technology. And there were a lot of people saying, "Come on, cloud, are you serious? Do you want to really do that?" And if you communicate about it and put everyone that is really required on board and take them along on the journey, it works pretty well. So just to give you a recap, over the last 13 months, so end of 2014, people said, "Cloud, don't even think about it." And especially not you business guys who don't know how to operate something in the end. So it was really a no cloud policy that we had in the company. There was really a policy actually from the security officers saying, "Don't do cloud, please don't. And if you do, please don't do it with an American provider," which brought us to, we just left Deutsche Telekom, or I don't know, yeah. So we said that has to be changed. We need to figure a way. We have to go there somehow. And then in 2015, well, we started, obviously, like we said, and people said, "Well, cloud is dangerous. Just look at that iCloud thingy that broke, where they got all the pictures from the people, and that's not working." And we said, "Hey, you're comparing different things here. Are you truly professional?" But yeah, and also bad United States. Don't do anything in the United States. But there were some people like Thomas that I cited in the beginning. I'm not really sure, but please go for it and let's see and try things out. I mean, if it breaks, then we'll find a way, but I have you covered, right? So in 2016, we went there and people said, "Okay, that cloud thing could work, but let's first see how it goes further. Is it really good for better workload?" Like our CIO, he said, "Well, cloud is good for speed, but is it for scale?" And we said, "Absolutely, it is only for scale. And the speed, well, is something that is nice and comes along." But also, we had to learn that. And well, it's June 2017, and about 2 weeks ago, we had a conference at the company where our CIO said all new applications for the future will be built on cloud technologies. That implies public and private cloud technologies. So we are also setting up private cloud at the campus in Braunschweig based on, OpenStack with Pivotal Cloud Foundry, but also using public cloud technologies. And So it took us 13 months to go from no cloud to yes cloud. And we know that there's still a very long way to go because we had to convince a lot of people in the company. And it's like maybe 50 people from IT say, yep, cloud is good. And we go for it. And maybe there's another 20 who say, could be, like the 2016 guys. But we've got 15,000 employees. So there's a long way to go to convince everyone required working with the new technologies that we found. It's not new, I know, but for us it is. Please bear that in mind. So yeah, what are our learnings? It's like Sebastian already said, security and resilience. First, make everything bulletproof, and if it breaks, then fix it fast and don't make a long chain of it. And we're a bank, dude. Compliance is built in, has to be built in, but it can be fun. As long as you automate things, it is, right?
Depends.
Well, sort of, yeah. And what I already said is you need to have a true understanding of technology within business when you are working with digitalizing things, not people, things, products, and your landscape. I mean, we always did digital stuff because we are in IT, obviously, but for the business, it's now taking new responsibilities. And a product owner has to take responsibility also for the technology that's built there. It's not just about throwing functionality over the fence, it's also about having all the stuff beneath it in place. And if you just build for functionality, you will pile up technical debt a lot, and this doesn't bring you anywhere. It will just slow you down on the long run. Okay, so let's look at what we achieved on the way to being happy developers. Or
Sure.
Good. So Sebastian said that code going through a fully automated pipeline after check-in for the parts that we already have in the cloud, we say, well, we are pretty much there. So we are sort of happy.
There's one thing, we're not doing continuous deployment till to productive systems. We're just doing it to a sandbox system, and then there's a manual step from pre-production to production. This has to do a little bit with fear, and the fear Stefan just said. We have to build more trust to have this in place in the future. This is not yet done, but we're working on it.
Next point, everything on the infrastructure and platform level just works. Well, yeah, part of it does. We see that when we are using Lambda, for example, we never had an outage, for example, right? It just went through. But what we saw is, for example, when we saw an outage with S3, like we had at end of last year or beginning of this year, it was at the East Coast, I suppose, and we had to justify that towards the security guys, and they said, hey, can you say what happened there with Amazon, and can you please justify it? And we said, oh, sorry, it's Amazon. I mean, we build our applications so that they don't fail when a region is broken, so don't blame us. I mean, that can happen, and we're taking that into account and building our applications in that way. So for the part that we built, we have in control, everything on the infrastructure works, but there's a lot in the backends that is not on that level yet. So we'll have to find that out as well. And everything that doesn't work repairs itself. Okay, we're working on that, but some of it repairs itself already. As a developer, I only create and add value for the customer. So we are still having to do a lot convincing people inside the company, being the salesman, the ambassadors. So we are not just focusing on building software, but also convincing people, building that trust inside the company. And I think we will get there some point of time. We will be ultimately able to provide that value, right?
And we implemented a new way of building software. We implemented a new way of doing things in our company. This also has to be done by someone, but yeah, would be cool to have this done.
Yeah. That goes also into the direction of continuous improvement of the product and the technology through technology most of the time, which is not something that we can focus on solely, but we will get there. So the last point is everything is automated and secure, and everything is automated. We can say half of it So we've got mostly continuous integration pipelines in place and got compliance as code and everything automated. But it's secure, believe us. So it's secure right away. And talking about the automated part, we are there. So we're coming to the end of the talk. There's a Spanish saying, poco a poco se va lejos. Little by little, one goes a long way. And we know that there's a long journey ahead of us, and we are not getting tired of it. We had to fight a lot in the last years, and those were positive fights, good fights, because they led us where we are now, and we are now building on top of cloud technologies. And we had a CIO saying everything in the future will be built on top of that. So I think it works somehow, even at a regulated institution. So if you want to talk more about that and have any questions, we are here for 13 minutes. And after that, we'll be at our booth together with the guys sitting there. And we'll be happy to answer your questions that you have. So thank you very much for listening. And yeah, have a great day.
Thank you very much.